What's up, legends, and welcome back to Made Up Universe. My name is Michał, and today I want to talk more in detail about that Sony and Marvel SpiderMan deal and expand on these details, talking about Spider-Man's future, and it's coming right up. On Friday I made a video about new deal between Disney and Sony regarding Spider-Man. Obviously I briefly touched about all the details surrounding this deal and what this deal means for the future of Spider-Man, and I want to go more into these details today. So let's talk about the things that we know about this deal. So obviously yesterday I said we know the release date for Spider-Man 3, which is 16th July 2021. On top of that, we know that Spider-Man will appear in yet another Marvel movie, possibly some kind of team up, and fingers crossed that it's Fantastic Four. That's just my opinion. We also know that in this deal Disney will get 25% of the profit. Before it was only 5%, and Disney will also retain the rights for merchandise. There is another important thing about this deal, and judging from quote from Kevin Feige, he said that Spider-Man has this amazing power to cross different universes, different cinematic universes. So what does that tell me? That tells me that Spider-Man will appear both in MCU and in Sony Spider-Man kind of thing universe. I'm sure Marvel initially was reluctant to that, but to be fair, with all the recent talks about Multiverse, it kind of makes sense. And I have additional theory about that I'm gonna talk about a little bit later. But we are having Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. The multiverse is clearly being introduced. We had multiverse being mentioned in Avengers Endgame when they created different realities by going back in time. We also had multiverse mentioned in Spider-Man Far From Home, although that was just for the ploy. It is clear that Marvel is heading towards the multiverse. Spider-Man now appearing in Sony's cinematic universe makes sense from the storyline perspective, because they are heading clearly into that multiverse. SpiderMan Deal is not the only collaboration between Disney and Sony. They also signed a deal for PlayStation Vue for sports, news and entertainment packages. And what does that mean? That means that Sony and Disney, they're not like against each other. They really want to work together to deliver better content. Although Spider-Man is currently contracted for these two movies, we still might see a deal extension after that because of the fact that they work closer and closer together. And to be honest, that makes sense from both of these companies' perspective. Always a collaborative effort, adding more resources to the project provides a unique value to said project. Obviously, there is an option that Kevin Feige will have to wrap up Spider-Man's story after two of these movies, but I really hope it's not gonna happen and we're not gonna have some craziness again relating to Spider-Man crashing out of Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I hope they will continue developing story together. And it's clear from both Marvel and Sony perspective, they're all really excited to be working together on these projects, and everyone who is involved in actual making movies rather than the full execs were really happy after this deal was made. And I have this kind of idea that would be really amazing if Sony can be developing proper Spider-Verse, but not a Spider-Verse that's completely separate to Marvel Cinematic Universe, a Spider-Verse that at any time could be integrated and cross-referenced between the Sony Spider-Verse universe and Marvel universe. Obviously that would mean that Marvel can focus really on all the new properties from Fox. We've got Fantastic Four, we've got X-Men, we've got a lot of characters that hasn't been touched yet, and Marvel is about to do that. They've got their hands full. Although, don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean that they cannot be producing Spider-Man movies. They can, 100%. Kevin Feige will have time for Spider-Man, but to produce fully blown out Spider-Verse with all the amazing Spider characters, that's a completely different story, and it would be amazing to see Sony and Marvel collaborating in this kind of manner. So we can see that both companies were really hard at work to strike the deal to get Spider-Man back into MCU to continue amazing content together. That is very optimistic, and on top of that we've got a lovely, and I say lovely looking Phase 4 of Marvel Cinematic Universe. Now we've got Spider-Man, we've got Doctor Strange, we've got Thor, Love and Thunder, we've got WandaVision, we've got Hawkeye, we've got Loki, and we've got Shang-Chi. Eternals, all of this, I mean, it's clearly gonna be epic. And apparently the new Spider-Man movie will focus quite a lot on Peter Parker, and taking into account the cliffhanger that we've seen from Spider-Man Far From Home post-credit scene, it's gonna be mad, crazy and epic, and I'm 100% there for it. And if Sony and Marvel develop the so-called Sony Spider-Verse and Marvel Cinematic Universe that cross-reference, we finally can have all the symbiotes working together, we can have Miles Morales, we can have Spider-Gwen, we can have all the other crazy characters that can come and work together. Obviously soon we probably gonna see Spider-Man in Venom movies as well on Sony's side. To be honest, I wasn't the greatest fan of Venom from Sony from last year. Was that last year? I can't even remember. Anyway, I wasn't a great fan of that Venom movie. It was okay. But the really good thing about this though was Tom Hardy as Venom. I see a huge potential there. I mean, this character could be fantastic. It just needs a little bit of that creative juices coming from Marvel to get things rolling into a fantastic Spider-Verse. Really, this can happen. And people are more and more familiar. I mean, we've seen the animation already, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, so it's not like very unfamiliar thing for people now. So I hope guys you enjoyed this episode very much. There is another little segment I want to do, because some of you might know I'm a part-time toy designer, as I like to call myself. Every now and then I make a new toy of Marvel characters, and I would like to introduce them at the end of the episode. In the last episode I managed to briefly introduce the Night Monkey. Today we're looking at Spider-Man from PlayStation 4. I decided to make these chibi characters from Marvel Universe. Really wanted to make a Spider-Man character, but obviously we've got so many designs of the original Spider-Man character. I wanted to try to make the one from PlayStation 4 video game. I really like this suit redesign. I think they've done amazing job at Insomniacs. They've kind of make it a little bit more practical, and I really appreciate that. I think the color scheme is amazing, so decided to give it a little bit of a spin on this chibi Spider-Man version. So I'm gonna try and show you a little bit more about him, just so you can check him out. Decided to give him a little bit of webs coming out of his hands. So that's that. Obviously, if you want to see more about these little creatures, I have an Instagram account called MiPaToys, so check me out there. And speaking of my social media, obviously find me on Instagram, Made Up Universe, and on Twitter. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification button to stay up to date with all my videos. And as always, oh wait a minute, I didn't ask you, leave a comment, let me know what kind of future for Spider-Man are you expecting now that the deal is back. And that's it for today guys, so yeah, thanks for watching once again, and see you next time in Made Up Universe.